here, and I'm Natalie Banuelos. And my question is, if you had the chance to go back and stop before, like, it got worse, what would you say to yourself?
There was so many factors when I was young, right? My dad was really struggling with alcohol. My father's struggle with his alcoholism was something that I was unfamiliar with. Like, I didn't even know that there was a word that described it. Just at a young age, I knew that my father's drinking was really making my mom sad, sometimes angry, and it was disrupting our family. But there was never a place that I felt comfortable enough to talk about that type of stuff, right? Like I didn't feel like I had, a network of people or a person in my life that I could go to school and say, I'm really worried about my mom and dad. They're struggling, and I don't know how their struggle is going to affect me. So I guess, right, and that's why I kind of do what I do today, because, I want to give kids a voice. I want them to know that their voice matters, that how they feel, it matters. And, at a young age, I just wish I had the platform. I wish I had the ability to share some of that struggle that I was going through as a child. Like I said, my dad's alcoholism, it just really affected my family. And everybody talks about my story, right? That, I was 32 years old, I had children, and I overdosed multiple times on heroin. And a lot of people identify those moments as my tragedy. But I also think there was similar tragedy in my childhood when I started drinking, the beer that I knew very well was really hurting my family. I hated that beer as a kid. Like, I used to go to bed at night saying, like, I hope my dad comes home in better condition today. I hope my mom, doesn't have to worry about him. And I started drinking his beer as a boy, and to me, that's unbelievably sad and tragic.
I wanted to ask you, what would your advice be to help a teen like our age prevent them from doing drugs? And if they've done it before, how would you prevent them from doing it again?
I think for me, it's always been about talking about the first day, and talking about, why this begins for us, rather than, putting it in our face of what a drug addict looks like, in the end, right? This is something that is progressive. I often say, like, the scariest thing about drug addiction is, when we're young, we have no idea that we're the one that's going to suffer so much because of it. Again, it's about challenging ourselves and our friends about feeling good enough, that we don't have to change ourselves to feel like we can experience middle school and high school, and that we don't have to put drugs or alcohol in our system in order to have fun. So for me, it's always been about, at this age, the formidable years, right? Middle school, high school, is about just challenging each other emotionally, and challenging each other socially to just be the best kind of version of ourselves on weekends. Never mind the fact that, there's kids that you hang out with, and maybe you yourself, have family members that struggle. And, when we see them struggle when we're young, it's been years for them to get to that point. And their struggle began very similar to my beginning and to most. So again, it's the first day, it's about understanding where it begins and why it begins.
Any other burning questions for him?
Good.
Wise, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully I'll have a chance to meet all three of you someday. You know, your teacher, you know, is special to introduce you to this, and I'm just glad that my story, you know, has resonated and has had an impact. I often say when I speak, you know, when I walk in and I do a presentation, you know, my goal is that one person is gonna walk out and kind of reassess, you know, where they're at in their life. And, you know, my message is more about, just as much about family and friends and the people who love you and care for you, as much as it is about self-esteem and self-confidence and self-worth. I believe all of that is connected into this message. You know, I think that, you know, you have little brothers and sisters that, you know, hopefully you can have them watch this and make them proud, right? And make them see, like, you know, their big brother, their big sister's not afraid to talk about stuff like this. And, you know, and that goes also for the kids who have little brothers and sisters who are watching them start to vape and smoke and drink. You know, they're setting, you know, the tone and making an impression on those little people in our life that count on us and depend on us. So, you know, our decisions not only impact ourselves, but they impact so many. And, you know, that's something that, you know, my mom died when I was struggling on heroin. And, you know, she never got the chance to see her son sober. You know, and my addiction had such an effect on her. And, you know, when I first started to struggle, it was, you know, it's only hurting me, and it's the furthest thing from the truth. So I applaud all of you. I commend you. You know, you guys are the kids that, you know, I have a 13-year-old, and, you know, I'd want him sitting in your seat and doing what you're doing. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for meeting our students, and just like I said, what you do, watching them watch you in class, you could really tell that your story hit home with a lot of them. So
Awesome. Thank you.
If you're ever in the Fresno area, then
Pop in.
we
The
would love
Valley.
to meet you. Yes, awesome.